Hello YouTubers, Knife Detector here, and I thought I would make a video that I've been wanting to make for a while now, and that's on 10 reasons why people collect pocket knives, or knives in general, not necessarily just pocket knives. And we're going to go over different reasons why people collect knives, and you might find out why you do it, or maybe you just need an excuse to do it. But in any case, here are the top reasons why I think people should collect pocket knives. And there are many more than that that I can think of, but these are 10 that I have off the top of my head. First one is nostalgia. Nostalgia because they take you back to another time, right? This particular knife, it's a multi-tool really. It's a Leatherman. The original package it came in. I put my name in it there, burned it in. Had this one with me for a while since they made this thing. Fixed a lot of things with it. As you can see, it's really loose. And put together a lot of toys for my daughter with it. In fact, my daughter put this little Angry Birds sticker on my Leatherman tool. I would always carry this on my belt. So whenever I still fix something or put something together in the house, or my daughter asked me to put batteries in something, I pull this bad boy out. And this thing works so well still. It's just a testament to what Leatherman did when they created this first one that really just started it all, right? And I still carry it every now and then, but more often I keep it in a drawer in my house so I can use it. So I'm nostalgic for this one. I think back to when I used to put things together for my daughter, right? Another one that I'm pretty nostalgic about is the Buck 110. The Buck 110 is a knife that I carried with me when I was young. I always felt like it was the most usable knife. I had many versions of this. This is one I acquired on Craigslist. I believe it's a 2-dot. And, yeah, it's a 2-dot. I've probably abused a lot of these knives, but this is one that also, when I think of a knife, folding knife, hunting knife, I think of a Buck 110. So that's one reason why, I will always have one of those in my collection. Right now I have 2 of these, and I think they're both 2-dots. And they're versatile, they're durable, they're heavy, so you carry a knife. This one looked like somebody used it as a hammer. But it still holds up well, has a great snap, and is very sharp. So nostalgia, right? It takes you back to another time, right? It brings back memories. That's reason number 1 why to collect pocket knives. Number 2 to collect pocket knives is stress relief. A lot of us have jobs that give us stress. It doesn't matter what job you have, whether it's working construction, whether it's the mental health profession, whether it's teaching, whether it's being a police officer, or whether it's working as a cashier. Every job has its own unique stress. And sometimes you need an outlet, right? And one of those outlets for me is pocket knives. Collecting pocket knives, making things out of leather. This is a leather sheath that I made for different pocket knives that fit it. And it's an outlet for your stress, and it's a way to take your mind off of things, right? When you look at a knife, when you sharpen a knife, when you start fiddling with a knife to make it work better, when you oil it, when you clean it, when you buy a new knife and it needs maintenance, all of this, doing things with your hands, keeping your hands busy, adds to letting that stress come out. It's an outlet for your stress to get it out of your system. So reason number 2 for collecting pocket knives, or any kind of knife really, is stress relief. Because in the process of keeping a knife clean, or making a repair on this knife, like I did on this very old 1909 model Swiss Army knife, what you're doing is you're taking your mind off of stressors when you're doing that, and you're busying yourself, and you're creating something new with your hands. You're releasing the stress through your hands, and by creating something that again will withstand the test of time, and you are giving yourself an outlet for that release, right? So reason number 2 for collecting pocket knives, stress relief. And that's worked very well for me. Made several sheaths, right? And in doing that, you have to hammer, you have to punch, you have to cut the leather, You have to make designs on the leather. So what you're in effect doing is you're being creative with your mind, and you're taking your mind off of your troubles. So reason number 2, stress relief. Reason number 3, protection. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've ever harmed someone with a knife, because I haven't. I've only ever harmed myself by handling them improperly and accidentally cutting myself by accident, as you've seen in previous videos. But I can tell you that sometimes having a deterrent might mean the difference between someone trying to cause you harm and maybe walking away having second thoughts about doing that. Once when I was metal detecting many years ago, I decided to dabble in that hobby. I was in a park in South Texas in another city close to where I live, and there were these gentlemen that out of the 200 free parking spaces that were there, and I was the only person in the park, they decided to park right adjacent to me, really close. And 5 men came out of the car. So I was in a playground metal detecting. I think I found a total of $2 that day. And they were approaching me from different angles. It seemed like they were trying to flank me, and they didn't make their agenda clear to me. They were just approaching me, and they looked like they may have had an issue with drugs in the past or presently, judging by the way they were dressed and the way they looked and the manner in which they approached me. So they were in a older Dodge minivan with a sliding door. And when they opened the door, some of them were sitting there watching me for a while. I could see them. And then they started to approach. And none of them spoke to me. They just started to walk around me as if they were walking nonchalantly. And they all decided to get in different angles around me. And when that happened, I felt surrounded. So I tried to get in a position where I was no longer surrounded and they were no longer flanking me, and I was approaching the door of my car. When I did that, they followed as well. So on this occasion, to make a long story short, I just decided, well, I don't want to hurt anybody, but what I'm going to do is just going to flash it. So I didn't have this one, but I had an old Fury Karambit, probably from the early 90s. And I just did this, opened it and closed it back really quick and put it back in my pocket. When I did that, I noticed that they backed up. They got slowly, went back in their vehicle and shut the door, and they watched me drive away. And I still am not 100% sure that their intentions were bad, but you got to follow your instinct, guys. You got to follow your instinct. And I drove out of there and nothing else happened. Now, I do believe these were Mexican nationals. They did not look like U.S. citizens. Aside from that, you know, they might have just been panhandlers asking for money. They may have just been trying to ask for directions. But I honestly don't think that this was the case. In a park where no one was around except for me, drawing attention to myself, carrying a metal detector and a small bag. So luckily, nobody was hurt, and they were successfully deterred, and I drove home. But in any case, that being said, I do not advocate violence in any way, shape, or form. But if you're in a situation where your life may be in danger or your safety is in question, then you want to grab any tool that you might have that might be a deterrent to somebody trying to cause you harm. And in this case, I had a Karambit knife. I don't have it with me anymore. I since sold it on eBay many moons ago. Now I wish I kind of had it because, you know, I haven't seen another one like it, to be honest with you. Okay, now another story about protection. It was the day after the last day classes let out of my freshman year in high school. And I don't have the knife I'm going to talk about with you, but I wanted the Walkman that my grandmother had given me, because my grandmother hadn't given me many things, but she gave me a Walkman, and I had left it in my locker. So I went back on the Saturday following the last day of school, only to find that there was a gentleman, for lack of a better word, breaking into every locker one by one. And he was almost at mine. and I did not want him to get mine. It was very clear to me that he wanted money for something. He was the school bully. Was about 6'2", probably 300 and some pounds, and not a very agreeable personality. So I decided, well, let me go to my locker. I'm going to brave it, and I'm going to go to my locker. I'm not going to pretend that this guy doesn't bother me. So I'm going to go to my locker. I opened it up, and as I was getting to my locker, he approached me, and he put a knife right to my stomach. Now, that knife that he put to my stomach was not this one. This is a Gonzo Firebird, but he put a Schrade old-timer right up against my stomach. Now, if I didn't collect knives, I wouldn't know what it was. And I know what he was looking for. He was looking for money. So he put that right up to my stomach. I could have panicked, I could have fidgeted, possibly get my stomach cut, but he had it right up against the flesh of my stomach. And so I told him, hey, you know that's a collectible knife, right? That's a Schrade old-timer. That's worth some money. And he said, he took it off my belly instantly. He started to look at it. He said, really? It's worth money? And I said, yeah. You should probably get that looked at. He's like, this was my dad's. I'm like, heck, he left you something good. So at that point, he said, thanks. And he took off, left the lockers alone. I got my Walkman, and I left. And that was that. He was a senior, so that was his last day, and he was gone, and I never saw him again. And that's the end of that story, because I knew a little bit about knives, even though I know that it wasn't really worth a lot of money. He didn't know that, so he ended up taking my word as gospel and took off. And so that's how being a knife collector protected me on that day. Reason number 4 to collect knives is variety. There's just so many different kinds of knives out there, guys. There's knives by Smith & Wesson that are 3-blade Stockmans. There are 2-blade jumbo trappers. There are regular size 2-blade trappers. There are knives with a G10 handle that are more modern and that are liner locks. There are traditional wood handled knives. There are just so many types of knives out there to collect that it's an incredible hobby to have, because you never finish. It's like gems. There's so many different types of gems. People can mount them in so many different ways. The way people make knives are only limited by their imagination. So variety is reason number 4 to collect. Reason number 5 to collect knives is mechanics. Check this CRKT out. Okay, it's a graphite. Look at the mechanics on this knife. See how it opens? See how it snaps into place, and you can see it just pop into place. And then here's the spring. You just pick that up. See how it pivots on that pin, that screw, that bolt that's right there. They're beautiful, guys. Knives are beautiful. They have excellent mechanics. They're really unbeatable for mechanics. Again, only limited by the maker's imagination. For guys like me that like to put things back together and take things apart, it's a dream come true, because it's just a way to again occupy your time, to examine something, and to really experience the joy you have with an object and how it works, and what it took to make it, and keeping up with it, and taking care of it, and cleaning it, and maintaining it. For analytical minds, can't beat mechanics. And that is reason number 5 to collect knives. Reason number 6 to collect knives is utility. It's always good to have something you can cut with. Take this Meyer-Co knife, for example. It's a spring open knife, right? And it's Meyer-Co, Blackie Collins. And right now I have a hook blade on this, right? But it's the type of knife that it's a work knife, utility knife that you can switch the blades on. So this for me is extremely useful when I work with leather, because whenever I want to cut my leather scraps, all I do is I pull this bad boy out and I replace the blades. Now this comes with an awesome sheath right here, this Blackie Collins sheath, and I don't really like nylon sheaths, but this is heavy duty nylon. And then it comes with a little pocket, and in this little pocket is where you keep all of your blades. Different kind of blades right there. Okay. So that little guy I really like, and I use a lot. In fact, it used to have a belt clip, but I wore it out and it just fell out with so many years of use, but it just keeps going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny. So reason number 6 to collect knives is utility. Reason number 7 to collect knives is friendship. You know, just like some videos I made recently, I made a friend at the SoFlo market in San Antonio named Ben. And Ben makes some fantastic leather sheaths, right? And I made a video just specifically and especially for him in regards to some of his work, in case somebody wanted to have a really cool way to carry their knife, right? So you can always have that common language. You know, when you go to a flea market, or let's say that you're in some type of event and you notice somebody's carrying a sheath, and in that sheath they have a knife like this Buck 112 that is a 100th anniversary edition that I bought, and I made another friend at another flea market with. You have common ground, and common ground is essential to making a friendship and starting a friendship and maintaining that friendship. You need to have common ground. And knives are a common ground, because guess what? Veterans carry knives, construction workers carry knives, granddads carry knives, moms carry knives, women, men from all walks of life carry knives, whether it be a small Swiss Army knife, whether it be a hunting knife, whether it be a camping knife. People carry knives. Knives are a common language and a common ground, and it's something that people can understand. So, reason number 8 to collect knives is friendship. Reason number 10 to collect knives is historical aspect. I recently did a video on this 1909 model Victorinox Swiss Army knife, right? A really old one, probably one of the oldest knives I have, if not the oldest knife, right? It came in this little pouch. And if you like history, you like old pieces, and you like to think about how many times they have changed hands. Who might have owned this? Was it a soldier that owned this? How was it used? Was it used in the Second World War? Perhaps the First World War? Does it have any provenance? Pocket knives are also a way to track history, because different pocket knives were used during different periods of time for different reasons and had different uses, right? For example, this is an old Schrade Waldron paratrooper's knife right here. And the interesting thing about this knife is that it's an automatic knife. And it's got a special feature where, it pops open, but you can lock it. Back then they knew that you could pop it open in your pant leg and cut yourself. So it has a locking feature so that you do not hurt yourself. So when you want to use it to open it quickly with one hand, because you might be holding on to, I don't know, your parachute with the other one, you can open it like that. See? When you're not using that, let's say you need to cut some rope, well, you're going to need both hands for that one. And you pull out this rope cutter, which has a very, very used up slit. But I tried that rope cutter and it works just fine. Right? It's a hook knife for cutting rope. Look at that. And again, this knife has historical military significance, right? And the reason that I'm sharing this with you is because when you think about what tools were available at the time, sometimes you marvel at the technology that people were able to come up with. And necessity was the mother of invention. So they needed a way to use this knife one-handed. So they came up with a spring. And this is quite old. I think this is 40s, if I'm not mistaken. 40s or 50s. Probably 50s. So, historical aspect, military aspect, the makers, the country in which they come from, what countries were they being sold in. It's really a history buff's dream, right? And since I was a history major in college, this is another reason why I collect knives. Reason number 9 to collect knives is materials used. Wow, you can make knives out of anything. People even make knives out of glass. out of flint. You know, Native Americans used to make them out of obsidian, you know, make them out of bone, rocks, you know. People even make knives out of hardened and sharpened paper and plastic, believe it or not. Materials used, like this particular knife. Look at this gorgeous stag handle on this particular knife. It's not an extremely expensive brand, this knife, but this knife came out about, I don't know, 15 years ago, and it was being sold by Frost Cutlery. And it's a Damascus blade, and look at that thick stag, guys. I mean, you can't beat that. That's beautiful. You can't beat that for grip. And I may make another video on that later, just on this knife by itself. But materials used. Here's a one with stag, right? But here's one with bone, smooth bone, dyed a beautiful bluish green on this Moormaker Jumbo Trapper, right? So here's one with a synthetic handle called G10, which is extremely durable. Materials used. Also the types of steel. Damascus steel, there's 440 steel, 420 steel, many different kinds of steel. The handle on this one is made of steel, you know. Materials used, once again, the knife maker is only limited by their imagination. So that is reason number 9 for collecting knives. And lastly, reason number 10 for collecting knives is value. You know, knives tend to hold their value, guys, quite a bit. You know, especially knives that are made with materials like stag, you know, or knives made from manufacturers or companies that no longer make knives. They become collector's items, like this W. Clawberg stag handle hunting knife with saw back, right? It's a gorgeous older hunting knife, probably about 100 years old. And I believe that knife is only going to go up in value. You know, it tends to keep its value. Why would you care if your knife had value? Well, because you may need to sell it. Or let's say, for example, your family needs money. Well, you may need to sell that knife in order to buy your daughter some shoes or put some gas in the car, you know. You can trade it. It has trade value as well. You can trade your knife for goods or services, you know. I myself have made many trades with knives. I've traded knives for other items as well. It's just fun to try that. I try it every once in a while in a flea market, you know, and I'll ask the person, do you collect knives? More often than not, they'll say, well, it depends on the knife, and show me what you got. Next thing you know, we're making a deal, right? So value. Some knives can go up, like Robeson Sure Edge knives. This is a gorgeous Robeson. I have a video that I made on this one too. Red bone, red jig bone, beautiful knife, great snap. This company doesn't exist anymore, guys. They're never going to make another knife. To my knowledge, this company went out of business. But this is a gorgeous example of their craftsmanship. So if somebody wants that example of that craftsmanship, then the value of that knife goes up. So once again, investment and value is reason number 10 why you collect pocket knives. So this has been Knife Detector, and I just wanted to make this video just to give 10 reasons why I collect pocket knives. But my 10 reasons may not be the same as your 10 reasons. So leave comments in the video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed weekend. God bless you and your family. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that like button. And don't forget, my friends, stay sharp.